Okay, so a few people want to say a few words, and I'm going to invite up here, first of all, Ted, to say a few words. Tell us what the weather's like out in PEI, and tell us a little bit about your daughter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura's dad. When things are good, they call me Ted. There are other times when I hear other words. I'm not going to say much about Laura, not as growing up, because I miss them much of it. But I've loved Laura from the moment she was born, and I will love Laura to the moment I die. She has been a treat and a pleasure all these years, and very, very special to me. I only met Tony about a year ago, really, and I find something very special in that man, and I'm certainly glad that Laura chose Tony. Now, there's one other thing. I wasn't going to tell any Laura stories, but there's one that has come up. Now, if you read down your little thing here, it tells you that I come from Prince Edward Island. And there's a little thing in here. It has to do with going to the ice valleys. No, it wasn't that either. And a sportsman show. It was a Santa Claus parade. Now, I want you to picture this. We're standing on a curb, somewhere I think along Bloor Street in Toronto. And we're waiting for the Santa Claus parade. It's not my favorite thing to do. I don't do it very often. And I've seen one Santa Claus parade since then, and that was in Charlottetown. I got stuck in traffic. I couldn't get out. Anyway. It says here, in the Santa Claus parade, where he broke her balloon. Now, I'd like to clarify that. You know, fair is fair, isn't it? Okay. I was standing on the curb. I couldn't go forward or backward. And I had a cigarette. It used to be legal to smoke back then. You could even do it on the street. I told Laura, we won't buy a balloon until we're ready to leave, because I didn't really want to hold on to the damn thing. Great. Yeah. So anyway, she bought the balloon, or I bought the balloon, and she carried it. She walked out into the partway out on Bloor Street, looked left, and no parade coming, so she backed up into my cigarette. Which immediately created quite a bang. It was quite a stir. Because when you're not expecting that, and you're standing quietly waiting for the Santa Claus parade, somebody blows up a balloon in your face, you're bound to be surprised. I did not break the damn balloon. She backed up into the balloon. Well, I had a cigarette going. That's the truth of that story. That's my story about Laura. I would like to make a couple other comments, so if you just bear with me for a minute or two. I'd like to comment the wedding party, all of the wedding party. I think they did a magnificent job. They really did. And they were very helpful, truly, truly helpful. And it was really a pleasure to be among them. And that's just something I can carry all the days of my life. What a beautiful memory. So, to the wedding party, especially, I thank you. To the guests that are gathered here, I've not met a few of you, but I've met many of you. And I failed to discern one soul that I met that isn't a very likable human being. And that's really a wonderful thing to be able to say. You can't say that everywhere you go. go to the supermarket and try it. The only other thing I want to talk about is a wedding ring is made round and is not made to be broken. I think we all know that. That's an old proverb or whatever, or rule or something somebody came up with. But the fact is, it's not the wedding ring, it's not today, it's not the wonderful memories of today to carry forward. It's the idea that two people came together to form a union, become one in spirit, and carry on, hopefully, for the long lifetime of pleasure, joy, and happiness. And I wish that for Tony and Laura. I lost my 4 pages of notes. So, going on memory, just about time for me to sit down. Were you going to introduce or say something about the staff, wait staff?
No, you can
There is one more thing I would like to do, and I would like to, if they're in the kitchen and can hear me, can the wait staff come out? Just for a moment, please. The caterers. Anybody. Washroom attendant. Damn wait staff.
Oh, you're in trouble. Let it be observed.
Oh, here they come. Come forward a little bit so everybody. You're standing almost in the doorway there. And so that's much better. I'm sure I speak for all of the staff. There's a lot of people here to the staff. You did a wonderful job. It was a wonderful dinner, well served. Ladies and gentlemen, I bid you a good night. Godspeed. Good health.
Thanks very much, Ted. And now I'd like to invite up Jenny to speak. She's Laura's cousin and maid of honor, as introduced already, and she's going to probably tell us some things we don't know about Laura, since she's revealed all the secrets of each one of us in the little table bios that we have.
Hello. I'm Jenny, her cousin. And looking back at my earliest childhood memories, they all have Laura in them. Once upon a time, we all lived together. And we were more like sisters than cousins. We did everything together and never thought of going anywhere without each other. Eventually, our families separated, but Laura and I always stayed close. When our families would visit, we would always take off to the local coffee shop, just the two of us, because no one else was welcome. And we would catch up on things, share our thoughts and fears, hopes and dreams. Those memories I will cherish forever. I always knew that no matter how bad things got, we would always be there for each other, without judgment, without anger, just acceptance and encouragement. Over the last years, Laura's path has taken her to Guelph, then Stratford, then Kitchener, and although she may be hours away by travel, she and I are always close. It doesn't matter how far away or how long it's been since we last spoke, we always seem to act as if we just saw each other yesterday. And now today, I get to be a part of something so wonderful and special. Today I get to welcome Tony into the family, and I am so happy that Laura will be sharing her life with someone who sees in Laura all the things that I see. A beautiful woman who is talented, intelligent, and who has strength and courage. I wish them all the best and hope they have a lifetime full of happiness and love.
more than one person has commented that when they've met Tony, that he seems like he's a somewhat quiet individual. And I've had to remind that person that, well, anytime any of us from Stratford have met Tony, Laura's been with him, so it's really kind of hard to judge. Let's find out a little bit about Tony from Ross Englefield. He's going to come up, a longtime friend, and tell us a little bit about Tony.
I don't get to wear a jacket like this all the time.
You gotta make it work.
Every minute of it. Kind of draw the short straw on this one. Tony was begging us, come on, somebody say something. And we're like, no, we're going to tell the truth and people will know. There's a few of us here, Rick, Chris, and I, we've known Tony a long time. When I met him through Rick, and he was the quiet, strange guy with the accent who collected comic books. And he was still, I think he's still the quiet guy who speaks a little funny and collects comic books. It was, you know, you watch all those, I don't know if you remember the high school movies from the 80s, like my daughter's in the 16 Candles and stuff, or the after school specials where they say, you know, in high school you're going to make these friends that last a lifetime. And it doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. And you meet someone and you have a connection that just lasts. And Tony's one of these guys. I love you, bro. The great thing was that it was never about things that were emotional. It was always, I'm going to be drinking at my house. You should come and stop Rick from throwing furniture off the side. And that, which is always, it's a good invite. I don't know. Well, yeah, I can see a lot of stuff that you see in Tony. Of the four of us that have known each other for so long, we're really glad you didn't get one of the rest of us, because that would have been. But to Tony, thank you so much for being a good friend for a long time, putting up with me. I was kind of the outsider guy, but that's what it. All my notes are in the car. My daughter. I forgot my notes, Dad. To Tony.
I think everybody in this room can be in this agreement that we just could not be happier for these two wonderful people. And those of us who got to know Laura first and knew her for many years, I think wondered quite rightly for a long time how someone so witty and funny and smart and fun to be around could be without a special person in her life. And it turns out she was just holding out for the perfect guy. And Tony, don't get too big ahead because you're not perfect yet. Those of us who are married are slowly being guided along that path to perfection. So, Tony, you are a great guy, and obviously you care very deeply about Laura. You share a lot of the same loves, and I think all of us here wish you many, many years of happiness. So I know toasting was not on the agenda, but if you've got a glass of water or a glass of wine or a glass of juice or a glass of pop, the appropriate way to toast is to actually stand up, and when I say to Laura and Tony, you raise your glass, and in unison we'll say to Laura and Tony. So let's stand up with a glass. To Laura and Tony.
Laura and Tony.
Sophie, you have a few words you wanted to add as well. Well, let's invite Sophie up to say something about today.
Sing.
She's gonna sing.
Put me under pressure, sorry.
As a little kid, your parents always want you to be happy, but kids also want their parents to be happy. And the first time that my dad told me about Laura, I could see that he was really happy, and I knew that she was the right person for him. I knew that she would accept me and Megan and our whole family how we are. She wasn't someone who would judge us. I love you guys.
Well, this is the appropriate time. It's right on the agenda for a slideshow, so we can turn the lights down and nobody has to see the tears in everybody. So a slideshow that was put together by Sophie and Megan together, and Tony, the other Tony, is going to make sure that happens. Okay, I'm told to be a brief intermission. Anybody else want to share any Laura stories?
You got one, Steve?
I don't.
I can correct the balloon issue, actually.
Here's the Santa Claus parade that I recall. I was told no balloon, I admit that. We had a big discussion about that in the car. But okay, in my defense, there were red and green balloons, but one pink balloon. It was the only one, so I had to have it then because obviously it wouldn't be there by the end of the parade. So he bought the balloon and he was sitting on the curb with his cigarette. I was about 4. And I walked out and the horses were coming, so I backed up so I wouldn't get run over, and the balloon went pop. And then I went out into the middle of the street with my stick and my little piece of rubber hanging from the end and said, "You broke my balloon!" And I suppose that was humiliating. But I was 4. There he is. Sorry, Dad. I get it last.
You were 4, you might have acted 4.
Well, you might as well stay up here because next is, presume you have some thank yous and possibly some rebuttals from the organization.
To the wedding party, Jenny, Janice, Catherine, Megan and Sophie, Rick Ross and Chris. We just, we're so grateful to everything you've done for us. All of the pain in the butt stuff, seamstresses and pins and zippers and dresses and colors and me freaking out every once in a while. Really appreciate you sort of talking me off the ledge when I had those moments and being so flexible and willing to do anything and everything from washing mason jars to, whatever else. Yeah, there's lots. Oh, Fred for officiating. We knew you'd be great because you're so charming. You are.
I am not.
Everybody thinks so. Tony and Sue for yes. And walking down there, I saw you there and I thought, Fred, it's Fred. It'll be okay. It's good. It's calm. Yeah. Tony and Sue for your thoughtful readings. They just struck the right tone for both of us. They were beautiful and lovely, and we really appreciate you doing that. You added so much more to the ceremony. The musicians, Allie, Brent, and Rick, and Sophie, of course, for singing, which somebody has a record label. And Dave for working with Jerry, that as well. We appreciate the time you took to practice and get together and come hang out in our backyard, or come to our house and then go home immediately because Tony is at your house instead of at home. We really appreciate the time that you took to do that.
Okay, list goes on. Steve Rice for being our MC, thank you very much. And for Richard and Ruth for saying grace for us, and we have a bucket here for you
It's
later
filling
on.
up.
Yeah. Megan and Sophie did a few other things just to thank them again for it. Megan put the tree together, so if you haven't put your stamp on it, try and do that before the end of the night, it'd be great. Megan and Sophie, thanks again for the slideshow. It was wonderful. I want to go on record as saying that Mumford & Sons are not thanked because they performed today and on Tuesday, the only times in Southern Ontario, and we could not make it. So, very upset with them, but maybe next time. And thanks again, I know Ted thanked the caterers and the servers, but thanks again to those guys and the museum for having us. And of course, thank you all for coming. Wouldn't be much of a wedding without you here. So give yourself a round. Since I'm left with the microphone, I'm just going to add one. You getting it back? One other thing before we, one thing left for me before we conclude. I just want to narrate a little known story about Laura and I before we conclude. I don't think anyone knows this but us.
I don't know what you're going to
Okay,
say.
well, so Sophie Megan mentioned the slideshow that we met online on a dating site, Plenty of Fish, like many people do, and then we could try to, sheepishly tell people, and because it's not it's what people do our age, right? What you do. But we also had a chance meeting 2 years earlier that a lot of people don't know about. Back when I began checking out online dating sites, I came across this woman on there from Stratford, who's a journalist. And we got a bit of a conversation. Well, it's a bit of a one-sided conversation because I would ask questions and Laura would give one-word answers. So I was like, what do you do? One word, journalist. Oh, I see you went to York. What did you take there? One word, English. So the chemistry didn't seem to be there. So I moved on, forgot. Then my history of relationships took a bit of a tragic turn. 2 years later, I'm back on, poking around again. I see another pretty lady from Stratford. She's got a degree. Check. She's employed. Check. Good things. So I started a conversation, and the answers, again, were a bit curt, but they were better than one word. I may have got 2 or 3, I think. I didn't make the connection. I thought, well, at least it's better than one word. I remember that strange lady from a couple of years ago. So we ended up meeting, and then on our third date, I was at Laura's house, and I see a picture of her on the fridge. And I thought, that picture looks really familiar. I couldn't quite place it. It took a while. And I'm sitting on the couch with Laura, and then it hits me. Oh my God, you're the one-word answer journalist. So, what do we take from this? I'm not one to believe in fate or higher powers, but it was a bit chilling to reconnect with it, and at a time perhaps when we were more right for each other, when the stars were more aligned. So what didn't work for us 2 years earlier now certainly seems to be working for us very well. Is I do lament, and I think Laura does too, that we lost those 2 years. If I could get 2 more years with Laura, I would have really appreciated it. But I am grateful, of course, that we did finally connect. So my last thank you on my list is to Laura for giving me that second chance.
I just wanted to add a couple more thank yous as well. I wanted to really thank you, Dad, for coming all this way. It's a long, long drive, and I really appreciate you being here. It means so much to me that you're here.
you anything.
And I really want to thank the Burke family, who have been very kind and very generous to me. They welcomed me immediately. It's like I've known them for a really long time. They're funny and interesting, and they're a great family, and I just didn't feel judged by them at all. You know, when you're going to meet the mother, you think, oh. But she was lovely and normal, and I didn't feel judged by her. And kind, and Sue and Stephen as well. Sue is always interested and takes the time to ask questions and sends me funny emails, and I just felt like, wow, like she's really great. And I feel like I have a new friend and sister-in-law. I've never had a sister before, so I'm very excited. And Stephen is wry and witty, and just everyone is so special in this family. And of course, August and Thomas are two of the funniest people I've ever met. A little odd, but quirky. But really, really clever, precocious, and funny, and I love them too. They're just a riot to be around. And then, of course, there's Sophie and Megan. Beautiful on the inside and on the outside. I'm proud of you both. I think, when I think of your futures, I just can't imagine what you could be. I think you could be anything, and I look forward to finding out what that's going to be, and whatever I can do to support you to do that, I'm here. So I love you guys. Thank you so much.
One last thing. When we were planning this wedding, we weren't sure what we were going to do after this event. And we were urged, mostly by Laura's book club people, that we have to have a dance. So we're going to have a dance. We're going to have to move some tables around a little bit. So feel free to mingle, walk in outside a little bit, whatever. We'll get things moved, and then you will get moved on the dance floor.
Village people,
Definitely it'll be up there.
you gotta be dancing up there.
That was a
Stacy.
costume party. Don't dress like that. Okay, so yes, so listen for the music, and we'll get things moving very quickly. And thank you all once again.
Yes, it doesn't end. You gave me a long, long list, and I'm finally at the end of it. Yes, that's what I was going to tell you here. The last item is that there will be food served at around 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
something like that. So make room for that. And the cupcake tree that you saw there, the cupcake tower, I keep calling it a tree because it's beside the print of the tree, which you've all seen now and hopefully have made an imprint on. Make sure you take a cupcake with you before you leave. That's part of your gift, and I'm told they're all wonderful. So, somebody whispering something to me there? No? That's the last announcement, I think, of the evening. So enjoy the dancing, the Spandau Ballet, or whatever.
Sorry, it really doesn't end. We forgot to thank Steve.
No, we didn't.
We didn't? No, then forget it.